Hello. For replay purposes, I'm going to go and say hello. This was a disaster last night, but everything has worked out. Don't worry. Everything's going to be all right. Now, I've got to share this. Copy. Share it over here on Facebook with the group, who I hope watch and aren't too disappointed in my presentation. Um, okay. There we go. There we go. Okay. Hey, twin. It's all worked. Listen, it is all worked out today, honey. All worked out today. My little daughter had put the photographs in my quick access, and I did not know that's where they were. But I went and got more photos today because I still haven't stopped with this case, with these girls. I haven't stopped yet. Because I'm just kind of obsessed with them. So I'm going to get okay. I'm going to pull my stuff up on the phone. Hey, Amanda. So I don't have to keep going back and forth because when I have the photos up, I can't see y'all. And I also have a little, let me see if I can get it out. Hey, Christine. You know, it's kind of almost neat having it on a Sunday. Oh, shit. Hold on. I got a little schedule. I have ADD, and when I become overwhelmed, I just kind of sit there and spin my wheels for a bit. And I was spinning my wheels last night for sure. So this is what we're going to do. And then I've got all my, and so I'm going to be shuffling papers, people. I'm sorry. I hate it when people do that, but I've got so much on these girls and on this case that what the hell is that? That sounded awful. All right. So I'm just going to be, hey, Kathy, my love. All right. I hate shuffling papers, but I'm sorry. I've got to do it. I've got to do it. Oh, I got so overwhelmed last night. I shut it the hell down. It was killing me. I hated it. But then I didn't really have my notes together either. That's all on me. I mean, I've got them everywhere. In fact, let me get them in order now. You prepping your own stream, waiting on your co-host? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Suspects. We'll do sightings and then suspects, right? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Then I had to go upstairs because my husband's been cooking spaghetti all day. He's been cooking spaghetti sauce. And he said, you got to come help me do you got to do the noodles. I don't know how to do the noodles. You boil water, you throw them in, you wait a little while, you dump them. It's easy. So I had to go up there and do that. And then the race ended right before 6. So then I came in here at 6 o'clock, like on the dot, threw makeup on, and here I am. Here I am, ready to roll, ready to go, ready to go, ready to go, ready to go. I'm gonna get my things here. This is I'm so obsessed with this case. I can't even. I hate to call it a case. It sounds so tacky, but it's. I mean, it is. It's a case. Not my case, but it is. All right, where's my thing where the girls are wearing? I've got notes stuffed in notes. Yeah, his noodles. Listen, Mr. 681 couldn't handle his noodles. I think it's one time he made, oh God. One time he made mashed potatoes. He tried to make mashed potatoes. And he was really doing well. And then he went to drain the mashed potatoes in the colander, and the steam, he burned himself. So then he wasn't allowed in the kitchen for a long time. He wasn't. So I have so much information. It's not funny. And now I gotta find what the hell they were wearing. Hold on, y'all, bear with me. I'll wait. That's not what I need. That's not what I need. That's not what I need. Well, we'll just have to find it, won't we? I'll have to. Hey, Lavender, let me throw this in right, baby. I got it going on today, Lavender. All is well. All is well. I put a little bit too much eye makeup on. Oh, well. What are you gonna do? I have lost what they had on. I don't know what to do with it. There we go. I got it. Fear not. I got it. Hey, it's like rogue. Oh, steam burnt him the hell up. His face. Twin thing. Actually, that's not a. Look. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We love them. What can we do with them? Nothing. They're worthless to me. I'm telling you right now. And he's been washing clothes all day. And I got a feeling he's been washing them on warm, so I probably got a set of pink everything like you don't even know. But opening the aluminum foil, my husband would absolutely do that. 100%. An absolute 100%. He needed a big day. Mine would be in an emergency room. Mine would be in a damn emergency room. There she go. There's my lovely Lavender Sunday. How are you today, darling?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I've got all my shit's right today. Catherine last night said, well, y'all, I don't know if y'all read, but I was just absolutely, I wasn't mad. I was just like so ready to get this done. And I went outside to smoke. I told y'all about I heard little footsteps coming around like the side of my house. And I said, oh, here comes a lovely deer coming to peek over here and say hello to me. And then I heard it going, getting closer to the front of the house. And it was a skunk. It was a skunk. And he walked on my carport. And I looked at him and he looked at me. I took off running, cigarette in hand, into the house, going, no, 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 no. So he didn't spray though, but I said in my thing, I think I did. I never so scared. Then I had left my cigarettes outside. I'm not going back in to get them. But I had scared him off, so he was all good. Yeah, that was my night. And I said, I'm going to bed. This is not getting any better. This is not getting any better. So I'm going to wait like a minute. I was 15 minutes late. It's not like me. Yours is doing laundry now. Mine's been doing it all day. I'm telling you, we're all going to have pink everything. It's what's going to happen. Because I don't know, he's probably washing it hot. Knowing him, he's used to, that's the way he rolls. My husband. My sweet husband. Lavender, I did more shit today. I found out more stuff today on this shit.
I was watching stuff last night and went down a whole nother rabbit hole about Jane Doe's that could possibly be one of these three.
Well, yeah, there's what? How's it going? Get out. I haven't started yet. I'm a temperamental show host.
I wanted to make sure you have everything down.
I have everything down. The only thing I have open are StreamYards and the slides. All right, thank you. I love you too. Okay, love you. Don't come back down. I love you. Shut the door. Please do. The Jane Doe. Do you know that I'm going to talk about it? I'm going to talk about a case of a girl that was killed in Fort Worth in 1974. And it went unsolved. And they had preserved her dress. They had preserved her bra strap. And in 2000, I think, in 20, it cost $20,000 to test those garments for DNA. And they did come up with a suspect. They got the guy 40 some years later. So all these, Jane Does, there's not enough money. It costs so much. And I don't understand why. I mean, I get it. If you're a single police station, right, and you've got this Jane Doe in your morgue, you're going to have to pay it. But I don't understand why there's not a federal thing where they can test these things, because there are rape kits that are sitting on police shelves that are, 20, 30, 40 years old. They just don't have the money to test them. Doesn't seem right to me. But
there's the Jane
Does around Texas, or were they other places?
This one was in Iola, Texas.
Okay.
And they think that
Cheryl.
They think that the girls went by their middle names. So this one wasn't Rachel. This one was Renee. They think this was Renee.
Oh.
They found her in 1981, but they think she was killed around 76. But when they looked at the body, they found that she had all these old injuries that had healed. So they wondered if she hadn't been held hostage.
Right.
Used and stuff.
Yeah. And you got family still. Her mother's passed away, and maybe her dad by now. I don't really know. But her mother has passed away. She has a brother. I can't remember if he was older or younger. And they need to know. Now, if you believe in, an afterlife, and if you believe, they know. Because I hate it when people say, but I get it. I hate when people say, well, they died never knowing. Well, no, they died. They found out. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere else, they found out.
Yeah.
But I understand why people can't say it, because it's. Did you hear that? Yeah, he's dropping shit up there. Everybody does your own. Well, see, I've taught. Okay, yeah. My girl does her own laundry well when I'm busy. My son wants to learn, but can't quite make it down. He doesn't understand where the washing machine is. And the husband, when he does it, he doesn't do it right. I'll have to go back and redo it. But see, I don't think these girls are together. I don't think these girls are buried together. I don't think that they are. There's one, search done. Hey, Jackie, hello. I don't, and there was 3 anomalies in the ground, and everybody got excited. I don't think these girls are together. I don't think. I mean, they might, but I don't think there's anywhere in there. They're not buried together. But we'll get into that, and we can start that right now. We can start it right now. So I'm going to go back over how I hate the way cases are named, or the way, like the Springfield 3. That 3 represents 3 lives, 3 women, 3, girls, whatever. And then we have the missing trio. And the word trio now is for 3 children, because even though Rachel was married, she was only 17 years old and still a senior in high school. So, she's a child still. And the other was Renee Wilson, who was 14, and Julie Mosley, who was 9. So a lot of people in this case, but people have very definite opinions about this case, right? We're going to go into a lot of them because there are a lot of them. But this is better stop it. So we'll start with who, what, where, and why. Hey, Holly. So the morning of December 23rd, 1974, Rachel Trelisa, wanted to go shopping. She wanted to pick up some gifts for her stepson, who was 2, and he was going to be, hey, inside the box. He was going to be there Christmas Eve. So she wanted to just get him a lot of presents, right? So she asked her sister. Her older sister lived with her and her husband. All right, so let me clarify. Rachel and Tommy are married. Rachel's older sister had a fight with her boyfriend and moved into Rachel and Tommy's home, for a little bit. So she asked her sister Deborah, and she said no. She'd been playing canasta all night, and okay, Lavender, she didn't want to go. So Rachel calls her mother. You want to go do a little shopping? I got to get some stuff from Matthew to go under the tree Christmas Eve. And at that time, Rachel's father, his name was Cotton Arnold. He was battling cancer, and he was not having a good day. So her mother declined to go so she could take care of him. So she calls her very, very best friend, who the two families were very close, the Wilsons and the Arnolds. And so she calls Renee and says, hey, look, I got to go shopping. You want to go? And Renee says, absolutely. But I've got to be home by 4 because there's a party that me and my boyfriend are going to go to. And I got to be back so I can get ready. So they asked, all right, now, Renee Wilson, all right, is at her grandmother's house. And across the street from her grandmother's house is her boyfriend's house, and his name was Terry Mosley. He was 15. That morning, let me bring out, I'll show you, because I can do this. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to start sharing the screen because all right. Please tell me y'all can see that. There you go. You can see it. Yes. All right. So here are the girls. Look at them. 48 years and still no answers. So there's Rachel. And she's so pretty. And then here's Rachel. Okay, so the hairstyles, are very different. The one on the right is the one she had when she went missing. She was 17. And then there's her. That's Tommy Trelisa, her husband. She married him 6 months before this, and there she is as a bride. And then we have Renee. Now, again, the photos, they're kind of alike, but I think that the one on the right is probably the last one that she had. I'm not sure, though. It's so hard. Now, here's Tommy. There's Tommy, and there's Renee. And that's the commitment ring. He went over to her grandmother's the morning of the 23rd and woke her up and gave her that little ring, or a ring much like that. And, she was happy as she could be. And so they asked Terry, do you want to go? And Terry said, I can't. I got my friends in the hospital. I promised I would hang out with him. And they were like, okay. So they asked Terry's older sister, who was only 11. Her name was Janet. She didn't want to go, but 9-year-old Julie really wanted to go. And they said, you have to go and ask your mother. The mother worked. So she persuaded her mother to let her go, but said, you've got to be back by 6. Here's little Julie. Now look at that. Come on. That's a little baby right there. It's a little baby. They are gorgeous girls. I don't mean little beverage. I got so many pictures. So that's little Julie. And here's another one I've looked. Here's one that Terry posted in the Facebook group, Missing Fort Worth Trio. And he had a lot of lovely things to say. He thought that this was at his grandmother's house, and this picture really resonated with him. So they all head off. And their first stop is the Army Navy because Renee has got a pair of pants there on layaway that she wants to wear to the party. Now I'm going to tell you what they were wearing because this is kind of important when they left. All right, so Rachel, she's 5'6". She was 108 pounds. She had long brown hair, green eyes, a chip on her front tooth. She was in high school, and so there's not really like an outfit description for her, but for Renee, who was 5'2" and 110, light wavy brown hair. She had a bluish, purplish pair of hip hungers on. Now this is where this is wrong. This is from the Charlie Project. This says she had a white pullover, sweatshirt with "Sweet Honesty" in green letters. She had red and white Oxfords and a promise ring. And little Julie had on a red shirt with dark pants, which are jeans, and a red tennis shoes. So I'm going to show you this in a little while. The shirt that Renee actually had on, and it's just one of those mistakes that I guess people make. But so they go and they pick up the pants. Now sometimes it's reported that the pants weren't in the car, so she must have changed the pants from the bluish purplish hip huggers to the high waisted bell bottoms. Okay, remember this is 74. So, hey, Miss Christie, I am not saying hi. I don't mean to. I'm over here with pictures. But I'm looking at you on my phone. So they know they made it there, right? And then they went to the South Seminary Mall, which is not really a mall. I said this last night. It's this. It's open. It's like a plaza. That's what we would call a plaza because it's all outdoors. You know, it's not an inside. And here's some just pictures of the mall. It was the 23rd of December. It was a very busy day. The girls were seen because people really saw this T-shirt that Renee had on, and here it is. It was bright yellow with green, Sweet Honesty. You see Pam Dauber over here, and it was an Avon. Tasha, go on. You know what? You're fucking you. Let me tell you something about yourself, Tanya, Tasha. What the fuck you are? Go over to your fucking channel and be weird and get drunk and babble. Won't you do that? You want to do that? Okay, do that. I'm so sorry. So anyway, this is actually the shirt that Renee had on. So a lot of people remember seeing that really bright shirt. So another interrupt me at any time if you have something. Lavender, you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So there's the GC Murphys. They were seen in the record section of the GC Murphys, and it was a friend of Renee's, and he spoke to her, and I guess Rachel and Julie were off to the side. Some say they were with a tall, younger man. Some people don't. This is the thing where you get into 48-year memories. It gets a little, whatever. So, all right. 4 o'clock comes. That is the point when Renee had to be home. So 4 o'clock comes. No girls. We have no girls. So 6 o'clock comes. That's little Julie's time. They don't come home. The parents are coming home. There's no girls. What are we gonna do? What's going on? So they get together, and the family, Terry said his job was to sit by the phone at the house in case they called. The others went out and traced their route, which was about 10 minutes, right? And there's the car, and I'm going to show you the car. I'm going to show you the car in just a second. All right, here's the parking lot. All right, but that's not important right now. Oh no, I'm getting it. More pictures. Parking lot. Okay, there's Sears. They parked at the upper lot of Sears. The upper lot is, let's see, if you're looking at this photograph and you come all the way to the right, it's like right corner, see that little access road? It's on the other side. That's the upper parking lot of and again, there it is. There's the old Sears, lower parking lot, upper, and that's where you see that little block. That's where her car was. So that's what it looks like now, I believe. So here in this photograph, I am almost certain that the man on the left is Cotton Arnold. The boy in the middle is Tommy Trelisa. The woman you see is I want to say Judy Wilson. I hope I have that right, but it's Renee's mother, and there's Renee's father. So they all meet up, like, because they know something's wrong. Something is wrong. So there's her car. In 1974, that was a hot rod. Hey, sugar cane, honey, I love you. There's the car, and I'm going to show you where it was parked. There it is. That's parked. This is the next day. So people have, but do you see where the cops have not in any way, shape, or form roped that off, taped that off? This is the car the next day. All right. So just they weren't real worried about it. Now, some reports say that the girls absolutely went back to the car because they had all these gifts, right? The whole back seat was full of gifts. This was the only gift found in the car, and it was from Renee to Tommy's son, Rachel's stepson, Matthew. And that's the only gift that was in that car. That is why I showed this photograph, because if you read things, it'll say, oh, there's packages everywhere. There weren't. That's it. That's all they had. In the back now, because I'm on this in this, and I'm going to link it. I don't know. I mean, they have to approve you. But if this case like really grabs you, there is a Facebook. It's Missing Fort Worth Trio at Rusty Arnold, who is Rachel's brother, started it. He was 11 when she went missing. So I've gotten a lot because Terry Mosley posted a really long thing a couple years ago, and he was saying that Renee's jeans were in the back of the car. Her new ones, I think, and her old ones. So I don't, maybe she got pair of jeans at Army Navy. I don't know, but her clothes were found in the back of the car. So hey, Aaron, let's see. All right, so these girls are missing. I always want to bring you back to these girls are missing. They're still missing. 48 years later, they're still missing. So the cops were pretty sure that the girls had run away. In fact, that night they didn't show up to the parking lot until 11 o'clock. Now, Cotton Arnold, Rachel's father, who was absolutely deathly ill, Rachel's daddy, somebody else's daddy, sat in that parking lot away from the car with shotguns, waiting for somebody to come back. Waiting. And that never happened. And that's going to be important in a little while when we go through sightings, because those men were in that parking lot all night long. And we're going to get some sightings that, kind of contradict that. But sorry, I'm a little bit parched. So to solidify, right, the cops believed that these children ran away. Tommy Trelisa went to his mailbox on the 24th of December, the very next morning. And here was a letter. And it's from Rachel, as you can see on the top there, Rachel. And then we have Thomas, and I can't remember his middle initial. Trelisa, is it A?
A.
and it's hard to read, but it says, "I know I'm gonna catch it, but we just had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in about a week. The car is in Sears upper lot. Love, Rachel." Well, that's a problem. Here's the problem with this. Let me pull out my notes because let me tell you about this. You would not think this little note had so much, right? But it does. Now, Tommy said he went to the mailbox and it was sealed. He thought that the letter was sealed. You see the postmark, right? And that's on the 24th of, but the city that it came from was not clear. It wasn't, they didn't really have it. They had a area code. So we'll just start with the area code because this thing's got a lot of problems. So, Vaughn, I'm live. Can you go on? I'm live. Go away. I'm not ignoring you. All right, so we're just going to start with the postmark before we start with anything else. So, and this is a great debate as well. The postmark did not contain an actual city, only a blurred zip code that appeared to be 76083. Now, that I believe is Salisville. I think it's Salisville. Hold on, I'll show you. Yeah. So that would be an hour and 1 minute away. Well, other people thought, no. I think that's not a 3. I think it's an unclear 8, right? Which would put it in Weatherton. Oh no, not was it Weatherton?
Weatherford.
Weatherford. Thank you. I'm sorry, Weatherford. And I put Throckmorton up there because it's the same area basically. Oh no, is it Ellisville that it was supposed to go to?
No, it was that throw.
Okay.
But there's one thing about that place. I don't know if you found out or not, but that's where the husband is actually from.
Oh,
lives now.
Oh yes, I have it. I have it. There's a lot of ties to people in Weatherford. So that was it's not very long. But the thing is, Houston is south of Fort Worth. Or wait a minute, north. No, Houston is south. All of these were going north, right? So why would they have? They were
going the wrong direction.
They were going the opposite end. These were from the north. They were heading south.
They should have been going down.
Right. So, and it is Ellisville, and Ellisville's right there under my thing. If y'all can see it, I don't know why I put Salisbury. Probably because I was drinking wine when I did this. So, also, I'm going to go back to the note because she addresses it to Thomas A. Trelisa. She never called him Thomas. She only called him Tommy. And why would she address it to Thomas A. Trelisa? It just doesn't, if you jot it down. There's also another problem with her name. And I wish I could get on this. Her name, it's obviously Rachel. Well, that last L was actually an E. And somebody changed it to an L. So it'd be, Rachee. And then somebody had to go over it a couple times. So the thing about this, and back then we didn't have DNA and they didn't know. So Tommy takes the letter to where all the families are gathered and said, here, I found this. This letter gets passed around the room. No, they didn't have any idea about DNA. And they all everybody said, this isn't her handwriting. This can't be her. But the cop said, it's absolutely her. They ran away. Told you. So, and then Miss Wilson had a very good point. She said, what 9-year-old is going to run away 2 days before Christmas?
Yep.
what 14-year-old is going to do it? What newlywed is going to do it? They're not. So Houston is this red herring, and because there's more about this. A lot of y'all don't even know.
What I thought was weird about saying it's Houston, I wonder if the police ever looked at phone records, because back then, we didn't have cell phones or anything. So we had phone records because you had to pay to call from Fort Worth to Houston and stuff. So whoever, for her to want to go to Houston, she would have had to been communicating either
Right.
mail or by phone.
They don't have any. They don't know why Houston is even on there. They couldn't figure out. Like, there's no one they know there. It's it was also, which is not a huge point, but the envelope was smaller than the actual piece of paper she wrote on, and this has been called a childlike scribble, and I guess it is. I agree with that. I mean, it's slanted, and whatnot. So it had to be folded, different ways to get it into the envelope. Also, the envelope was done in pencil. The note was done in pen. I mean, I don't know what that means. It gotta mean something. Because if you were gonna write a note, you're gonna write the note, you're gonna address the envelope at the same time, especially if you 2-3 girls, just had to get away. What did Julie just have to get away from? What did Renee just have to get away from? Nothing.
And who carries stationery just around in their vehicle?
Yeah. So, some people say that there was actually a post office in the mall, and this was postmarked there, or maybe dropped. No. I mean, that's what I'm saying. When you start getting into these, and you'll read different articles, and you will see some of the damnest things you've ever seen, and it just don't make no sense. So now, I will tell y'all this, if you're asking and I can't tell, and I'm so sorry that I can't. Hey, Carrie, my love. This note was sent off for DNA when the technology was developed. There was DNA found. It was not a match to anyone in like the police, database, and there was no DNA from any of the girls. So Rachel's DNA was not on that.
Oh.
Yeah, I found
So
that.
it makes you think that 2 people that maybe handled it from beginning to end had their DNA on there.
But so many people handled it, like just the night that he got it. But I mean, like licking the heat. And I say this because Tommy believes that it was sealed, like, licked and all that. So I don't know if they went there, if they got it from there. I don't know where they got it. I wouldn't hold much hope out that the note actually had any more, but maybe that seal. But no one in no one in their CODIS files, and not any of the girls. So here we go. This is the only piece of physical evidence in this case. You are looking at it. That is it. There is no more. There is no more. That is all they had.
And most people don't, when they're talking about Houston, they don't normally say just Houston. Houston's huge. Most people will say, I'm going to Pearland.
Yeah.
The Woodlands. I'm going to Tomball. I'm going to say Houston is very vague. Most people already know what area they're going to be going to.
Right. Well, I didn't realize Fort Worth, and I guess I haven't thought about it because, why would I? I mean, I've never reached it. It's grown 300% from 1974. And let me tell you what, in 1974, this place was, I'm going to show you. I'm going to let y'all know there was a lot of serial killers in the area. There was a lot of bodies found here, right? And no one's ever been caught. Mainly because they're sitting on all the evidence is sitting in a warehouse somewhere, and it's not getting tested. 6 days after this, after they got the note, the police broke down and said, well, we think she wrote it, but it could have been under duress. That's all they would give the family. Yeah, it might have been under duress. I don't know.
But why wouldn't her DNA be on it then?
They didn't have DNA on it then. Oh, you mean like now?
When they tested the envelope and everything later?
I don't know.
Say that would be
No. This was 6 days after they got the note. So this is still a night. This
Oh.
is actually getting ready to be 75.
Okay.
Yeah, they gave the parents that all right, we think it is hers, but I don't know, it might not be. But maybe she said it under duress. Oh, okay. So again, what you're looking at is the only piece of physical evidence that in the missing children, basically. This is it. There is no other. None. What they could have done with that car, it did not. Tommy said that it had no fingerprint dust on it. They just returned the car to Tommy the next day. Here, take the car. So next we're going to hit, and this is sick. And I'm going to flip through my papers, and I'm sorry. But there is a phone call. There is a phone call that comes in. And I cannot believe we are looking at the only piece of evidence in this case. But 6 weeks after, on February 6th, 1975, late in the evening, Julie's mother gets a phone call. And it's from a child. And it's like 11 o'clock. And there was, she kept saying, hello, hello. And a child moaned, mama. And now I've got two versions of this story, so bear with me. Miss Mosley is convinced it was Julie, and she managed to get the phone after being taken somewhere. Thank you. And then she's her quote is, "I'd be willing to swear it was her." Julie said, "Mama, one more time," and just started to say something else when the phone was hung up. But I got another version of the story from Julie's mother, and it's a lot more entailed in it. So I'll give you the actual. Again, back then, and I don't know why the police did not have these phones of these parents, monitored and traced. I don't know why they didn't, but they didn't. Because Renee and them's parents had to actually get a second line in their house because so many people flooded it with just disgusting, stuff. I don't know how people, my God, you wonder if they lived in damn karma, but I don't know. So in the extended version of the phone call, which again is, and maybe they didn't, maybe back then they didn't want too much information out about it. I don't know, but I got it now. So she answered the phone. No one said anything, even after several hellos. She was about to hang up when she heard a moan and the word mama. Miss Mosley asked, "Who is this?" And Julie said again, "Mama." She asked, "Is this Julie Mosley?" And the caller said yes. Miss Mosley then said, "If this is someone playing a joke, please stop. I can't take it anymore." Miss Mosley then said she asked the caller where she was, and that Julie said she didn't know. Then she said "mama" one more time and started to say something else when the phone hung up. So she said her daughter was not speaking normally and sounded either drugged or sick. So I have a feeling that the first version that I read in the paper was just a very dumbed down, because this is the actual her mother's actual transcript of what happened. So, and that's sick. I cannot. There's Weatherford. That's 34 minutes from Weatherford right there. That's from, it might be from Weatherford. And obviously, Lavender and I have both stumbled on the Weatherford connection because it's a lot. Now, the next day, we're going to go into sightings now. Oh, the sightings. And we've already had one sighting of the girls in the mall talking to, people. So, a clerk at one of the stores says an elderly lady came up to them and said, "Oh, you know those girls that are missing? I was here that day, and I saw them all being forced into a yellow pickup truck. And there was a man driving. There was two girls already in there, and then they were trying to push the other one. Another man was trying to push the other one into the car, under the truck. Well, they were never able to find that witness. That witness never came forward. They never found her. They never saw her again. So that was one of, And then, hold on. I got to break out my stuff. So right away, people remembered seeing the girls. One clerk, elderly woman. Rusty says 3 girls may have been seen the morning after. See, here's the thing about Rusty. Rusty Arnold is his life is consumed with his sister, and as we go through this, you can see his desperation. He's willing to grab onto anything. And some of the detectives they had on these cases, and I mean ones they hired, not ones from the police department, he really just started to believe stuff. So this is a gas station, and this is the gas station where the girls were supposedly seen the morning after they disappeared. So they went here, and they were asking, I think, to go to the bus stop, so a bus thing, so they could, go to Houston. And an employee at this gas station said that his boss had them in his pickup truck, and he said he was going to take him to the bus stop, but first he was going to have a little fun. So that person went later on to that gas station owner's home, and he said there was blood everywhere, and there was he had excavated his backyard. Well, apparently that didn't get to the police until about 1980 something, so they had to go track down that owner of that gas station. He said, "I don't know what you're talking about." Now, what they did at his home, probably not a lot, but. So then we have 1981. A witness comes forward to report he saw a man forcing at least one female into a van. And when that man went over to help the lady, he said, "Stay out of this. It's a family dispute." He said, "Oh, okay. Why not?" So that was another witness that came back in 81. This happened in 74 and said, "Oh, I remember that there." So throughout the years, believe it or not, people actually say they have seen Rachel, and that she returns every year around Christmas. And they've seen her in different spots. They've seen her at a Walmart. They saw her here and there. The last time they saw her was 1998. So then we have a witness come forward. Oh, this is the one I don't like. I don't like this guy. So in 2001, a news story was doing discussing the case and whatnot. And a man walked up to him and said, "I told the police in 1974 that I saw a man at Sears who was a security guard, and he had 3 girls in his truck around 11:30. And they looked fine. They were happy. And he had told the guy that he shouldn't, because this other guy was also a security guard, basically said, why are they in your truck? Get them out of your truck. This ain't, this is work, whatever." And they got into a little fight, a little argument. And he eventually walked over to the truck and apologized to the children, because they were children, for his language during this argument. And he even knew that way they were sitting. it was Renee. I mean, little Julie, Renee, and then Rachel. He saw them in the seat. He saw them in the seat. And the police said, well, why didn't you go to the, why didn't you go to the police? He said, I did. I did it in 1974, but they never got back to me. That story is going to come up a lot. Oh, it's going to come up a lot. A whole lot. All right, so hold on. Let me get it to you. Now, I'm going to tell you who that person is. That person's name is Bill Hutchins. Bill Hutchins was a security guard for Sears at the time of the thing. He says he saw them in the truck, and he called the police and said nobody ever got back to him, and whatever. But Bill Hutchins went on to become a police officer. So while you're in the office, you don't run and say, hey, y'all remember in 1974 when those girls disappeared? Y'all got that report? Because I saw that shit. I saw them. He never mentioned that while he was a police officer.
Not to mention their photos would have been on every bulletin board in that police station.
Yes. But Bill Hutchins just said, they never got back to me. Oh, yeah, and I am a retired police officer. Or former police officer. I don't know if he retired or not. That's funky to me. That's fun. And let me tell you, in a lot of things, I'm pointing to y'all like this. In a lot of these things, though, you hear that witness comes up unknown, no name. No, just a guy. A former. I found that fucker's name. Oh, yes, I found it. And it took me a minute, but I found it. Bill Hutchins. I think he smells to high heaven. But he's one of the many that smell to high heaven. So let me make sure I have everything on here. This is about aftermath. Why am I doing it? Oh, God, with these damn suspects. Let's talk about suspects. Suspects. I hope y'all are enjoying this. I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. Just interrupt me now, Lavender, when you say, hold up, I got something. So let's go through the list of suspects. Oh, we got a few. We got a few real close to the family. Oh no, wait a minute. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the detectives. In 1975, can't believe I was going to go right through this. In 1975, the family got really fed up with the police because, God, they weren't doing anything. They thought they were runaways. And they hired a guy named John Swaim. John Swaim was a drunk, crooked, abrasive, disliked by law enforcement. He could talk his way out of anything. And let's see, it's been said you either love him or hate him, and most people hated him. Well, that's who they picked. John Swaim also had a habit of collecting information on elected officials and just keeping it in his files in case he needed it. One thing that John Swaim did do, though, is he wanted to see the police report. And in particular, there was a call that came in, and it actually named a vehicle and description of the vehicle and whatnot of who took them. So they weren't going to let him do it. So he said, that's fine. I'll just sue you. And he sued them. And they said, okay, John. John, you can come on here and look at it. Come on and look. I mean, he had a press conference and said, I am suing the police department for not letting me do my job. And they let him do it. So and this is going to be crazy. The family and whatnot had offered a $2,500 reward. Now, these were middle-class people, and that's a lot of, hell, $2,500 is a lot now. But John Swaim, here's what his agreement was. I will, if I find them, you just give me the reward money and $500. So that'd be $3,000, right? John Swain came out the thing and offered a $4,000 reward. He was perfectly prepared to lose $1,000 on this, so it can't be that bad. And then he wanted that call really, really bad. So on March 27th, he held a press conference, said he was gonna, sue him. They said, whoa, 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 whoa. They let him come in and under the deputy police chief. Well, the call's a problem because every 60 days that department erased all of their 911 calls so they could reuse the tape. Because back then it would be reel-to-reel tape.
Even one with an open investigation on it.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No, makes no sense at all. They just let it go. They just erased it. So, all right, let me turn this over. John Swain started getting tips. And one set of tips sent him out to, what was that? Hold on, I have it here. There's so many places that he got sent in this damn thing. He, over and over and over. There was one place, what is it? Fort Lavaca. Fort Lavaca. He got a tip that the three girls were dead and buried under a bridge in that town. Now, the Fort Lavaca police department had also gotten that tip and had looked already. It's kind of like marshy, swampy too. So John Swain shows up with 100 volunteers. And for 5 hours, they go all around the bridges and the swamps, and there was nothing. Everything in this case is a dead end. So,
well, there's a lot of serial killer. That's in Brazoria County, isn't it? There's a lot of serial killers that were working out of Brazoria.
Oh yeah.
County. That there's, what are they? The 13. There's a lot of buried missing girls that were found in Brazoria County.
Yeah, because later there's another search. An oil worker is in an oil field and he goes to take a break and he looks down and there's like a skull and some teeth and some vertebrae and whatnot. And they went and they looked, all right, and they pulled I don't know what they did. I know they didn't get all the damn bones because a couple of years later, they found more and more bones, right? And they thought, oh, this is so Swain had all the dental records and all of the x-rays they've ever had, the girls had ever had, sent over. And it wasn't, they found 3 bodies, 1 male, 15 to 17, and 2 females, not the girls. And I don't know that they don't know. I don't know that they don't, that's solved. I don't know that they know who those people are. Even today, I didn't go that far because that would take me down a whole other rabbit hole.
They found up around Texas City and Brazoria and all through there, the Texas killing fields. They identified a lot of them. There's like 4 or 5 of them that still aren't identified, I think. If
you Google, say it again.
Texas killing fields.
No,
Brazoria,
I'm sorry. If you Google Brazoria bones, get ready because you're going to be there a minute. Read about all the bones. They found an 1,100-year-old bone in there, as a matter of fact. So, we just had a lot of nothings. We had a lot of psychics. Let me tell you about the psychics that called. So, we have one that the family first consulted with named Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph, and he got all the family around and all that. And he said, well, let me see now. Let me try to see. And he, this was actually only a couple of weeks before. He said, well, there's something wrong with that note. Something's not right with that note. And then he said to Tommy, does 150 or 150 mean anything to you? And actually, in the car, the day Rachel and the girls went missing, there were supposed to be $150 worth of bonds that weren't there anymore. But after I went to the group, the Facebook group, they said that actually Tommy found that later on, so it wasn't actually missing. And then he told them, if y'all don't hear from me again, you'll know the girls are dead. And they never heard from them again. So then you had one guy in Hawaii who was a dowser, and he called in and he said, well, I think if y'all go look, now I've seen them, they're around water, and I can see some horses. Well, thank you, sir, for that tip. We'll just take it because
That drives everybody's pasture in.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you. And a horse.
Thank you so much for your tip, and we appreciate it. Sure, we do. So let's go back to the subject. Let's go to. When I read this stuff, these psychics, and Renee's mother, God bless her, she would take articles of clothing that these psychics wanted them to be sent to them, and she would do it because she was so damn, you want to believe it. But so there's no telling how many clothes. I got a story about that too. They put Renee's Christmas presents in the attic, obviously after Christmas, and they're still there. And around 2 years after this happened, her mother decided, I cannot look at this room anymore. I can't do it. And all that's packed up and it's in the attic. And they're in the same home. They stayed in the same home in case she ever came back. They didn't want to move, which is, to me, is, like I said, there's, losing a child is hard. Not knowing where your child is, I think that's 1,000 times worse. I think it's 1,000 times worse. So let's talk about suspects, shall we? Let's do the ones that are close to home. So what y'all don't know is that Rachel's sister, Deborah, had been engaged to Tommy Trelisa before he and Rachel got married. And Rachel met Tommy through her sister, and Tommy and Rachel got married, not Tommy and Deborah. So let's go through Tommy Trelisa's sordid marriages. So in 1971, Tommy married his first wife, and he had his son. 1974, April 26, 1974, he and his wife filed for divorce, and he marries Rachel in July of that year. So 2 years after Rachel disappeared, less than 2 years after Rachel disappeared, Tommy files for divorce on the grounds of abandonment. And he's granted his divorce. And he marries wife number 3. She was also 17. Tommy was about 22 when Rachel went missing. So he marries his third wife. I don't know what happened there. Then in 1978, he marries his fourth wife. And then currently, he's been married to wife number 5 for 40 years. So apparently he got it right. Now, a lot of people suspected Tommy because people thought they had to leave. The only way they would leave was with somebody they trust. The only way that would happen. We heard that too in the Springfield 3. It's the only way they would leave with somebody they trust. I don't know about all that. I don't know. So it gets very interesting. Oh, my paper just, hold on. Let me turn my damn fan off. I forgot I had my fan on. Also under suspicion is Deborah, who is Rachel's sister and Rusty Arnold's sister. And they kept that suspicions for a very long time because they'd gone from engaged to him marrying her younger sister to her disappearing. And then we're going to look, let me see, let's go to all right, here's our letter again. Here's our letter from Rachel, supposedly to, let me also add, this letter has been sent to the FBI 3 times with a huge amount of known handwriting from Rachel. And every time it's been sent to the FBI, it's come back inconclusive. So you would think, the FBI, but they cannot say that this is or not. They don't know. All right, hold on. We're going to get. All right.
Okay, I just sent you a picture on Twitter of a runaway from like 1980 in Texas who admitted she's a runaway and she'd be about the same age as Julie Mosby.
Is it the one that's in Mexico?
No, they thought she might be the Walker County Jane Doe, and somebody submitted it and it was determined she wasn't. They found out who she was. But this girl looks a lot like Julie Mosby. So maybe at the end, pull that
All right, at the end, because I think she called Rusty Arnold or Terry Much. There's a girl that called and said, I think I'm Julie. I don't remember anything past whatever. But we gonna get there because this is interesting, people. Y'all don't even know. All right, so at the top of the page, we have a known writing of Tommy Trelisa. And here are his T's, right? And if you go look at the T's on the note, they look kind of the same, just a little bit. You can look at his eyes, and they look the same as the ends, and it's just a whole thing. We're not ready for you yet. I don't know. Oh, also, Mr. Trelisa bought a house in Weatherford near Throckmorton. And oddly enough, for some reason, he had him and Rachel's name on the deed. And this was 17 months after. I don't know why her name would be on the deed. She was dead. Abandoned. And he'd already divorced her. So I think it's very odd that name is on a deed in a house that he buys out there. And Weatherford's going to come back in. Don't worry about it, people. It's going to be right the hell back. We're getting through this good time. We're making good time here. All right, sightings of Rachel. We've already done that. Okay, now we have to talk about investigator Dan James. Dan James. Rusty hired Dan James in 1999. Ooh, Dan James was something else. I'm going to tell you what. He worked the case for a while, and then he got a job actually in the defense. Like he was an investigator, and he got a job through the defense. What do you call it? Help me out now. When you go to court, you have the plaintiff and the defendant. Well, he got a job with a defense lawyer, but he would funnel things to Rusty. This was one of them where he called into question the T's, the notes, and Deborah. So Deborah did an interview in 2000 and something. And let me get her quote. I got her quote here. Because all of the families sincerely believe that Tommy and Deborah did this together. And I'm going to read you what she said, and then I'm going to read you. All right, here is in her interview. This is a quote from her. I know he, Rusty, her brother, blames me. I know he thinks I had something to do with it. Rusty thinks this letter that Tommy got in the next day, he thinks I wrote it. I didn't write the letter. I don't know who did. I don't know what happened to my sister. Maybe white slavery. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. I have nothing to do with it. So they countered her, the families. Hold on. Here is a note. The families put this in the paper. And as you can, I'll read it for you. It says, Dear Deborah, we read your statement in the Fort Worth Telegram on January 9th, 2000. You indicated that you had nothing to hide. If your statement is true, we beg and plead with you to fully cooperate with the Fort Worth Police Department and the FBI, please complete the polygraph testing and answer all the questions. Deborah, please keep in mind, you also have a sister missing. Respectfully, Ray Ann Mosley, who was Julie's mother, Rusty Arnold, who was her brother, Judy Wilson, who was Renee's mother, and Richard Wilson, who is Renee's father. Now, their daddy had died by then, but if you notice, there's not a signature from Rusty and Deborah and Rachel's mother. She didn't sign this. She did not believe that her daughter had anything to it, had anything to do with it. But in fact, I think Rachel's father said some parent died with this, thinking this, meaning, and the only people that had died was Renee's mom and Julie's mom. They passed away. So we come to another stalemate because ain't nobody moving. So, I forgot about Swain. Let me tell you, going back to the first report, detective. In 1979, Mr. Swain died of a drug overdose, and the coroner ruled it a suicide. But in his will, Mr. Swain requested that every file he had be burned when he died. And they were. So everything he ever had on these girls was burned. Now, my thing is, if you're going to commit suicide, why don't you burn the things before you go? Why you leave it up, And they have some suspicions on that. I mean, it was a drug overdose. But if you are going to kill yourself, I do not understand why you do not burn them yourself if you know you're going to go. So every single file he had was burned. That's why when Dan James came in, we had to start all brand new. All of it was gone. I'm a firm believer, and I'm going to show you in a minute. The person who did this, their name is in that file somewhere. Their name is in that file. It's a 2-foot file that one of the detectives had inherited, and all of the family loves this particular detective. I can't remember his name. He got a 2 foot, 2 feet of files. What the hell's in them? I don't understand what's in them. Because I just brought you, I mean, it ain't a 2 foot file. There's a lot of paper, but I don't understand what's in them. So all his work, everything he had on them are gone. So making sure I got everything. Hold on, I'm dotting all my I's, crossing all my T's. So the Fort Worth Weekly runs a story, actually in 2020, and they talk to Rusty. I tried to stick with newspapers, magazines, and actual whatever's where the family actually was involved, because I got a lot of more information from that than I did. Trust me, I wasted a lot of time making my way towards these things where the family had. So this was on 12/6/2020 that this came out. So they talked to Rusty, and I think they talked to Mr. Wilson, and Rusty said, if I was you, I wouldn't even call it. I think he called him a psychopath. Rusty called Tommy Trelisa a psychopath. Let me get you the thing. So, but
That's kind of strange.
That's a little strange. But he also called his sister some stuff too. I won't do that. So the guy actually contacted Tommy, and Tommy had a Tommy had a response. Why wouldn't he? It's not very favorable. That's my Sears and my name. I just wrote this down. Where the fuck is it? Hold on a minute. All right. Nope, that's another quote. All right. I got quotes everywhere. I feel like we should have dancing monkeys when I'm trying to look for stuff. All right, hold on. That's the call. 3 girls. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Anyway, I'll give you Tony's. I'll give you Tommy's alibi. Tommy's alibi was real quick that he that night, that day he worked. Now, Cotton Arnold. I know I keep going back and forth, but bear with me. Cotton Arnold had gotten himself into a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. He was tax evading. He was doing other shit, and his transmission shop was getting ready to go kaboom. No more. Tommy's parents died in 1973. I don't know what from. Couldn't find that out. But he inherited all of their assets and all their money. So he gave Cotton Arnold $20,000 to save his shop and be partners with him. And I looked that up. $20,000 in 1974 is the equivalent of $100,000 to $120,000 today.
Ooh, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And it got old Cotton out of all his trouble. So Tommy was working that day in the shop because he was then, the partner. He got off work. He went to his bowling alley meeting at the bowling alley. And around sometime, Deborah ends up calling him and saying, hey, Rachel's not home. You need to come back. And then he meets everybody at whoever house they were. And so, he's got an alibi. So in this email, anyway, this reporter that I was telling you about emailed Tommy. And this is the quote from that. There's been so much information to come to light that you may want to do more investigation into it before you run the story. That's Tommy talking to the reporter. Now, that's weird. Why talking about? That's an odd statement to make, I think. And then, hold on. We got another one. Hold on. I got all my notes. Are y'all having fun so far? Let me check. Hold on. Let me take a breath and check. Let me see what the chat's saying. And if there are, I'll drop this link over in the group on Facebook. I'm not going to get every detail that is out there. I understand that there are thousands of threads out there on this story. I get it. I know. And I have not gone through all of them. And, I can't, because this thing is really, I can't tell you how I feel for these families, but for the last 4 to 6 weeks, I have been in the middle of these stories where they're gone. I was at the Springfield 3, and then I'm here, and it wears on you at a time. I don't know how families do it. I don't know how they do it, but God love you, and God love the people that keep doing this. I'm going to have to take a break. I got to, get back to something. I don't want to say entertaining, but anyway, he also told the reporter, Rusty, I'm talking about, said that his sister was, I don't even know what he called her, evil, and came to you looking like June Cleaver. And this was in 2020. So he still believes this. At this point, I think Dan James has passed on. I'm not real sure. So we're at 2020 right now. And in this story, there's nothing else right now out there. I've given you probably everything that I could find in this case. There is one piece of physical evidence. They had the car. There's even one of the policemen who inherited this case who actually told the truth basically said that as investigators, they can't get those girls out of that parking lot. Investigating wise, they couldn't do it. They don't know. There's nothing. So let's talk about some of the serial killers in the neighborhood at the time. And I can't ever say this little fuck's name, but and this right here is Mike DeBarda DeBardelbin. I don't know. Now, in 1966, he had a lot of crimes. Him and his cousin kidnapped, raped a girl in the 50s. He didn't get charged for it. In 1966, he was that's when he got the girl. He stole a car in 1959 and submerged it. That's going to be important in a minute. He remains the main suspect in around 40 cases. His mother lived in Fort Worth, and she died around the time that these girls went missing. So he would have been in Fort Worth to clear her home or whatever. The police don't even really know if he was there in this time frame. So for him to be mentioned and him to be in every case file, I mean, I guess it could have been, but when he's killing one person at a time, you're going to get three. I don't know. So he died in 2011 anyway, and he never, he ain't gonna be nowhere. All right. Okay, I'll read. Here's the quote. Why did I have it over here? From the police officer in 1982. This was his quote. This is George Hudson, who they like a lot. This family liked him a lot. We've never even gotten them off the parking lot of the shopping center. So, I mean, he's telling the truth. So we have another. Let's see which other. Well, here's a good one right here. This one right here is what is his name? I think it's Glenn McCurley. Glenn McCurley was, and I don't know if she still is, a murderer. And I told you the story a little while ago about a girl that it took 40 years and $20,000 to test her stuff. All right, and her name was, I got it here, don't worry about it. Her name was, as I keep saying it, Carla Walker. Carla Walker was 16 or 17 years old. In 1974, she was sitting in a car with her boyfriend. He had just given her a promise ring, which is kind of odd. And a man comes to her door, and is dragging her out. Well, her boyfriend's hanging on, right? He pistol whips the boyfriend. And he takes Carla. 3 days later, 3 or 4 days later, she's found in a concrete ravine. Her pretty blue dress, because they'd been to a dance, hiked up around her, breast area. And she had been strangled to death. All right. So that went unsolved. But there were more people that went missing. There was Becky Martin, Angela Ewart, a lot of these women. Now, so it was little Carla's dress. She was only 4'11", that Justin. And the blood on her dress was mainly her boyfriend's, Rodney. But when they took the bra, there was a piece of DNA, and they found that one. And so they went and they arrested him. Well, he goes to trial and he didn't do nothing. And then all of a sudden, he just in the middle of the trial says, I'm going to plead guilty. All right, I did it. I don't know why I did it. I was a monster. I was drunk. I don't know why I did it. I've never hurt anyone in my life. Blah 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 blah. So he is put in prison. Well, a cop goes to talk to him about these other girls, right? He totally denies killing Carla Walker. Said that Carla Walker was not wearing a blue dress the night he killed her. He don't know who killed her. So they're thinking you've gotten your kills mixed up. That's what's happened. Because I think with one of these girls, I think it was Christy Towers, her pocketbook was found very near Mr. McCurley's property, as some of Carla's stuff was. So, is he a possible one? Probably, maybe. I don't know. I mean, again, he liked parking lots, and these cases where all these women were taken out of parking lots. One girl actually had busted a tire on the side of the road, and she pulled over into like a little gravel pit. He got her from there, or someone got her from there. I think Angela was leaving her work, which was a bar, and she got taken out of the parking lot. So that's the parking lot, connection that he could have done it. He's a big man, and he was a big man then. He would have been around 31 years old, I think. And he's a big guy. That's another one. Now let's go to this idiot. Okay. This one right here. This is a real winner. This is Mr. Maxwell. Let me flip all my stuff. Mr. Maxwell. Mr. Maxwell liked, well, here's the connection that the police are trying to connect with Mr. Maxwell, is that Mr. Maxwell, he was married to a woman. There you go. And she disappeared. And she was from Mexico. But he told her family that she had just left. So what he did for a long time was write them notes, write them letters, and send them to Mexico. Only problem is his wife would write them in Spanish, and he didn't. And the letters didn't make any sense. So he's suspected of a whole lot more as well. They just can't charge it. I mean, he's kidnapped, aggravated assault. His 62-year-old neighbor. I can't. Jeffrey Maxwell. If y'all want to look him up, what he did to his 62-year-old neighbor, and this was recently. I mean, not 48 years ago, was depraved, and she survived. So they only connect him. This was March in 2011 when he attacked his neighbor. The only, he wrote letters to the families, and they said, well, they got Rachel and them got a letter. Well, Rachel's husband got a letter, so let's tie them together. Doesn't really make much sense. None of these make sense. None of the big ones. None of the big ones make sense. It just because he wrote a letter, okay, well then he did it. Oh, wait a minute. You mean he took people out of parking lots? Oh, well then he probably did it. Oh, wait a minute. They called him the first one that I can't, Mike D. He used to do shit in malls, the mall passer or something like that, and that's why they thought he did it, because of the mall. So there's just no, it's not really connection. You have these other girls that are still missing. There's I wrote in a lot of names that went missing in the 70s, 80s. It was a lot. It was a lot. But who could have taken 3 girls? Some people think that whoever it was absolutely after Rachel. Had to be Rachel. Rachel's dad was in with some bad people. Rachel's husband and sister used to date. Rachel was beautiful. Rachel, it had to be Rachel. Rachel was the only one that day that knew she was going shopping. But if you want Rachel, and I go back to the Springfield 3, which I hate that now to say the 3 is 3. If one of the girls was the target. Why do you take all three?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That makes sense. So I have pled my case. I know I've missed some stuff, and I'm sorry about that. I have a lot here, and I have taken copious notes, which I have no rhyme nor reason to, and that's why I have to flip through a lot. But there you have it. I mean, that's why when that man says that police chief, Detective Hudson, that he has a 2-foot file, what the fuck's in it? And I'm going to read you a quote from Terry Mosley to Dateline. They covered this story again, and when we get through this, I'm going to tell you how I research. I don't watch anything, but we'll go. He said, "I don't understand the letter at all. The letter seems to me like it almost points to someone who knew them. People say it's to throw us off the track." And he says, "Throw us off what track? There's never been a track. I don't know if we'll ever know what happened." And there you go. I mean, some psychics had them going up north, like, through Illinois, up to Illinois. I don't know why you would do that. I don't know that, maybe that, I don't know. But the spooky thing, to think that Rachel Steele just comes and watches. Oh, I'm going to show you this because I think this is the sweetest thing ever. Hold on. Age progression. Let's go through that. Here they are with age progression. I hate that one of Julie. I don't think that looks like Julie. I would look at her at all, but it gets better. Here they are again down at the bottom. Now, this was in 2014. So these, I mean,
Look at that runaway picture I sent you.
Oh, okay. Now, this is a billboard they finally just got out in Fort Worth. And let me see. Y'all don't be looking at my private stuff. Oh, yeah, that's the girl. That's the one. She called Rusty. Can y'all see that?
I don't see it.
Oh, Lord. Okay, hold on. That one is one that called Rusty. Hold on, I'm going to present it again. And thought that she might be him. They've got a woman in Mexico that they think is Julie because she doesn't. There she is. You see it now?
Yeah, there it is.
Was she a doe?
No, she actually, there was a young boy and girl that were traveling with their father through Texas in the early 80s. And they met this girl at a hotel and hung out with her. Their dad was working. And the
Right.
girl confided in them that she was a runaway and she was traveling with a man and a woman, but they weren't her family. She was just traveling, but that she had ran away and was pretty much on her own. They thought she might be the Walker County Jane Doe, but as far as I know, she's never been identified.
Okay, because I've seen this girl's picture in the research. I've seen her. She's definitely around in there. So hold on, let me do this one more time.
She does look a lot like
She
Julie.
does.
The mouth, the lip, something about the cheeks, the mouth, the lip.
I wish you could see that. Then I just knocked my pictures down. I just knocked my pictures down.
But there's also a Jane Doe that I saw, and I couldn't get a good picture of her that they think could be Julie. And she was found around 1981. And then the one they think is Renee was found around 1981, but they think were murdered around 76. But like I said, they had the one had all kind of injuries that had healed, so they thought possibly she had been held hostage or something for quite some time, because even her ribs had been broken at one time and re-healed.
Oh man. Let me see. Oh, this is my whole thing of them. So, no, all right. So there's no more. I know that there's only one more photo. The photo is of and I hope I don't need to remind you. Every year, Rusty's mother, and she's still alive. She's in her 80s. Puts out 3 angels on her lawn every Christmas that are lit up. And some of the people in the group showed their things that they put up, just 3. And I think I'm going to start doing that because I've, even though it's hard to get to know these girls because nobody's really around anymore. And, I know that Rusty really loved his sister. His sister taught him how to play the guitar. It seemed like she really adored him. And, I think Deborah, they said, was the bad one. And then you had little Rusty. I know they had a bad life. Cotton beat the shit out of those two girls. He said he can remember Deborah being beat so much that blood was flowing down her legs. And so I know why. Rachel got married at 17. Of course she did. You want to get out that house. So
I wonder, and this is kind of far fetched, but the Doe Project has solved a lot of cases through Ancestry.com using what they call, I think, familiar or
yeah,
something DNA. I wonder if the families have ever just put their DNA on there,
they do.
thinking because these women would be in their 40s. So if
Yeah.
they did run away and have children, something might pop up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's that. Okay. And there's also a podcast that these people, and I don't know if how many of you have Ancestry DNA, if you ever done it, or 23andMe or whatever you've done. You can, I think that Ancestry shares it with police office, with police, but not all of them do. And there's like a disclaimer that you can download and send that would release yours to them. Um, eh, I don't think these children roam the earth anymore. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? I don't think they do. I wish they did, but I don't think they do. And I don't understand. And I don't know we'll ever understand. It's so frustrating because you think if that had happened now, we know exactly where they are or pretty good at. So yeah, bless the mother's hearts. I can't, and this dad, I know when my husband and my daughters, he is a Papa Bear. That is his role. He has beat up more people, more, more young men than I care to talk about. Never got arrested though. And so you have a father when you're supposed to be the one that protects your girl, and they're out of your sight for literally. They left out of that neighborhood right before 12 o'clock. Right? They got to the Army Navy around 12, and then up to the mall. I don't even know that there was a plan. There's a lot of places to shop. I don't. So if Rachel was the target, they would have to have followed him and then followed him and then somehow get him out of the mall. Because I don't think they ever went back to that car. I don't think they ever went back to that car. Because it was found locked and there was nothing in it, nothing in it where there was a struggle, nothing on the outside. It was a struggle. I don't think they ever got back in that car. So people are like, oh, well, it's probably, obviously somebody they know. Or a security guard named Bill Hutchins. I'll
Yeah.
go there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Or,
you stink, Bill Hutchins. You stink.
yeah. I even thought, what if they lost their keys? When you're a teenager, you're busy, you're running around. What if you
Yep.
lost keys? Phones weren't really the thing back then, and calling people and somebody offered them a ride.
Something happens. I don't know. Like I said, we don't know where we don't. The only physical evidence is that damn note that the FBI cannot even verify it's her. It's a lot like Tommy's tease, but that would be stupid because he would have had to have dropped. He was at work. Cotton Arnold was not at that shop, so he was there, and even the mother, her mother, who has passed on. Maybe she's not. No, she's not passed on. I'm sorry. Her mother said she talked to Tommy several times during the day. He was there the whole day. Now he ain't gonna be able to leave halfway, at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, hijack your wife and a little girl, kill them, get rid of them, and come back to work in time to meet your bowling meeting.
Yeah.
But and I don't know that. Oh, in 2018, Rusty, he actually raised $10,000 to go into a lake that's very near there, to pull out cars because they did, I guess, a drone or something saw a car in that lake. He had divers come out. They buoyed 3 cars. One car would have been around then, but it was there were no remains in it, and or anything like that. It was just really, they got the VIN number, but they put out the second car, which would have been a little bit too old, wouldn't have fit. No, again, no remains were found in it. And then at another date, they couldn't get the other car out until a couple months later, and again, nothing. So, so Tommy, he had inherited his parents' assets, where his parents both had cars. Well, Tommy said that this car that Rachel had was the only car they had, and people in the neighborhood were like, "No, he had his mom's car." But that disappeared right after the girls did, around the same time. So I think Rusty had it in his mind that Tommy had rolled that car in there, or whoever, with those girls, and it was going to be found, and it wasn't. They didn't find that car. There's a whole lot more lakes there and all that, and I don't know if he won $10,000 4 years ago. Is probably going to be a lot now, but there was another little turd that was one of the suspects back in the day. Nothing came of that either. There's just nothing. I wish I could say, you know what, and then they found him. I can't. That's why this is a murder mystery. And look, I'm making my official file to put my stuff in and put it in my done drawer.
I love Adventures with a Purpose. That is one of the few organizations that I actually financially support, is Adventures with a Purpose.
Addicted Minded, it was big back then. It was. Here's the thing: when he pulled out those cars, because this is 48 years old, getting ready to be 40 now. No, 48 still, 74. Yeah, so 48. Shut up. 48 years. When he pulled those cars out, they were in bad shape. But I know Adventures with the Purpose has pulled out a lot in bad shapes too. And they covered it with a tarp like they do, and I mean, isn't it horrible to hope your dead sister's in there? I mean, can you imagine hoping that your dead sister is in there? I don't even know how you process that.
The thing about Texas, and the thing about the era that they disappeared in, there was so much oil fields and stuff going on. Texas is a huge state,
Yeah.
And in that particular area of Texas, we have lots of oil fields and stuff like that. So the possibility of those girls being abducted, molested, and buried out in the middle of nowhere, and
Right.
no one has still come across them, is highly probable. It really is.
This is my biggest file. Oh, y'all almost saw me dump the whole thing on the floor. I'm gonna put it in my files over here. I will remind people that I think Christmas I'm gonna put out 3 Angels, because when you do these things and you spend all these weeks doing it like I do, and I just go head deep. I've sat down here for hours and hours and hours and hours. You cannot imagine. 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. And then come eat, come back down and do it some more. Because I get so I don't know what to say. I get so just obsessed with it, and I have to figure out. I mean, in this one, with 48 years of suspects and lost conversations and lost phone calls and memories that are going, and people are dying, that used to be around for this. You feel like you're the only one out here fighting for them. I think maybe that's what it felt like. Maybe to me, I felt like for a while until I found the group. As always, I'm always going to put everything that I used in this in the description. So if y'all are interested and y'all want to look at it yourself, that you can go do that. It's interesting. It's sad. I commend the people in that group because they absolutely do care for these girls and they care for the families and they are devoted to finding an answer. And so if some little thing break, a body found, whatever it is, skeletal remains, they all start, could it be, could it be, could it be, could it be? So
I know when I worked for the state, we had started this thing for a while where Thursday nights, all the TVs would be cut off for 2 hours, and we played reruns of America's Most Wanted and like that, because a lot of inmates will confess to their cellies or they like to
right.
brag about crimes and stuff to try to encourage inmates to come forward if it jogged their memory, if any of this. And
Yeah.
One night there, I think I talked about this one time before when we were talking. There's a television show or a series, and I think it's called The 13. I'll have to post it on my community page. But I was watching it. I try not to watch this stuff because I got so tired of it from so many years working with it. But I ended up watching this series, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't know that name. I know that fucking name. Why do I know that name? And it went on, and then it showed the guy, and I'm like, I know that mother fricker. But we had him in prison for murder.
Oh,
And to find out he's a damn serial killer. And this whole series, he's never been convicted of these crimes, but this retired police officer and this
no.
journal did this documentary. And if you watch this documentary, he killed these girls. And it's up in
Yeah.
Brazoria. Their bodies are all around Texas City and Brazoria. So there's no telling how many of these guys fell off the radar because they're actually in prison, but they're not in prison for all the murders that they've done.
The list that I had to pick from suspects was very long, and they were all serial killers. It was I'd be here another hour just going through their crimes. And like I said, they had a reason, because like that Mike guy, I cannot say the name, was the mall pass or whatever the hell that's. Oh, he passed bad money, but he was also, like I told you, suspected in 40 murders. Then you had the Maxwell guy who wrote the letters back to Mexico to his wife's family. She's never been found, by the way. Can I just say, she's never been found. So there's some serial killers out there that are real good at hiding bodies.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
well, this documentary will just blow you away, and it's just, and they broke it down. This retired police officer started solving it so easy. Him and this, and I'm thinking, now how in the hell didn't they figure this out back in the day? He found so much shit having to go back in the past.
Right. Well,
I'll put it on my
I get
community
it.
page. It's a very
Dude,
interesting documentary.
I get it. I mean, people that, but I was going to tell you, okay, so if around the same time, and then we'll go, because I got to get ready to go watch, y'all know what, right? The Walking Dead. So these are some cases that I just popped in my mind. So in 1975, the Lyon sisters, that was Sheila and I can't remember. I wrote it down. It's in my file. But anyway, it was two little girls. They walked to a plaza right at Easter. They were going to look at the decorations and then we're going to have some pizza. Well, they never came back. Never came back. So there was a lot of, people saw this man with long hair. People saw this man in a suit who was had a briefcase and a tape recorder inside and was getting the little girls to do messages for an answering machine. That's sick. So this man walks up, this dude, and said, "I saw it all. I saw him. I saw him. Man in the suit. I saw him getting in the car. I saw it." And they said, okay, well, let's come in. Let's do a a polygraph. He failed it miserably, miserably. This was a week after they went. They were now those girls that was in Maryland, right right outside of DC in Maryland. Over that way is Bedford County, and over that way is where. Well, let me go. All right, so that guy's name was in the file, right? The guy that lied. Well, somehow, some way, his name got brought up 20, 30 years later. And they went over here to Bedford County on a mountain and they looked they looked around and they found teeth. And they found the teeth of those girls. And that's all they found. Because those bodies had been in a burn pit just basically for the last whatever how many years. But they did find teeth, and he did plead guilty to murder and all that good stuff. His name was in the file the first week. So then we have Brittany Drexel, and I don't know if y'all remember Brittany Drexel. I mean, this case was only solved a couple of years ago from 1975. So Brittany Drexel was a little teenager who wanted to go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for spring break. She lived in New York, and her mom said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She said, okay, well, I'm going to just stay with my friend all week, and we're just going to watch movies. And her mother said, okay, that's fine. Well, Brittany took off to Myrtle Beach. And on the last night of the trip, she was almost scot-free. She had walked down to another, and I've walked this girl's route at Myrtle Beach. I remember when this was 13 years ago. I remember when her poster was everywhere. All right, everywhere. Little girl, beautiful little girl. She was like 16 and 17. So she's walking from down where her friends are back up to the hotel where she's staying in. She's texting with her boyfriend, right? And all of a sudden, no more text. There's no more text. And the boyfriend's like, what? Something's not right. Something's not right. And she never did text again. And no one knew where Brittany went. And Brittany was gone. The day after Brittany was missing, a man gets pulled over. He's a known sex offender. He gets pulled over. He gets asked, looked around, what's going on in here? Nothing. Okay, let him go. His name's in the file. First name in the file. Guess who did it? Guess who just pled guilty to it last month? That guy. Yeah. He took her from the street. I don't know if he offered her a ride because it's a hike from where she was staying to where, back. She just walked from her hotel all the way down and then had to go all the way back. I don't know if he offered her a ride, but I mean, there were a lot of people of color that got blamed for that. Okay. A lot of people of color whose names have been in the press for the last 13 years haven't done it. And this was a one-eyed white guy that did it. And he was the first name in the damn police report. So that's why I say, yeah, they found her body. He admitted to it. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't care why. He led them to her body because her mother, who moved from New York to Myrtle Beach, they were told she was fed to alligators. She was chopped up. She was, it was a horrible. She was kept alive, and you know what? And then they just finally shot her in the head. And I mean, this is what this mother had to hear. You don't recall the story? It's Brittany Drexel. I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna type it in here. Let me see.
The name of that documentary is The 11. It's called The 11. I had to look it up.
You know, there's one serial killer though that I did not cover, who his little claim to fame is the 11 he sent to heaven. Isn't that funny?
Well, the weird thing about this guy is when I still worked for the prison, the reason I remembered him was we had just started. It was the first week we started doing America's Most Wanted. And I was what they call the South Desk, which means the south end of the prison belongs to me. I have to keep up with everything going on down there.
Yeah.
And a fight kicked off on my E-block while we were playing America's Most Wanted. Well, we get down there and we're breaking it up and locking everybody up. And one of the inmates kept yelling, "That's him." Well, because they were playing a rerun of America's Most Wanted. And
Oh,
Bell was actually on there because he was originally in prison for sitting outside a play area in a housing subdivision and watching the little kids and masturbating and calling
oh
them
yeah.
to his car. And there was a Marine or a Navy guy that was home for the weekend at his mother's washing his car. You know, something didn't seem right.
Wait,
And yeah, he
I know this one.
yes. And so
Yes.
when I started watching the documentary, I kept thinking, why do I know that guy's name? I know that guy. So then they said, well, Bell was originally in prison for, and they played the America's Most Wanted thing. And I was like, son of a bitch. I knew that. So I called a couple of my friends, that worked at prison with me. And I'm like, remember Bell? And they're like, is that the turd that got beat up during America's Most Wanted? And I'm like, is it? I was like, he's a serial killer. And they all started watching it. And he's a goofy son of a bitch. You would never peg him for a serial killer. He's a goofy son of a bitch.
Is it the one? Did they have it? I want to say, did they? There's a guy in there who's also on this list, and he was a serial killer, and he stopped his truck and started doing that in front of children and the mother. The boy was home. Did he kill that boy? Did he
Yes,
shoot him?
yes, he shot him. That's what.
Okay. Do you want to know why I remember that so well? I mean, only I read it in my research for this, but Matthew McConaughey was the boy that played the boy that got shot in America's Most Wanted.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They keep showing that as his first role, yeah. But he also took off, and then they had to go catch him again.
Yes, they had to.
Yeah.
And then he actually got away to not Mexico, but some other country, and he lived there for quite some time.
Mm.
Track him down. But this is a very if you can watch the 11, it is
Oh,
very interesting. You will get and see, like I said, I try to get away from that because I was so burnt out from
yeah.
working that. But when I started watching it, I got so into it, but it just kept bugging me. Why do I know that name? Why do I know that
Yeah.
name? But the minute I saw that America's Most Wanted clip, and then I saw his face, I was like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!"
He's mentioned in this case. Actually, he's mentioned in this case. So, as a possible, again, I
A lot of
ever
the
since
body.
I read Bill Hutchins, I'm telling you right now, I don't like it. His shit don't make no sense. I don't understand why you walk up to a reporter in 2001. You've been a cop. What's wrong with you? Something ain't right. Something ain't right. I don't know. I'm sorry that I couldn't read the chat. I did try to read it here, but I did a shitty job, and I'm sorry. And I remember the List sisters, and yes, I remember all that, and I don't know how. It's always been a mystery to me how somebody can go, and you can do everything right your whole life, and you can pour your life into your children, and somebody just decides I don't want them, and I'm going to kill them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like I don't. I don't. I don't understand. I don't understand. Tell us, Holly. So that's what I thought too. That's why I try to pick these cases that were older that people didn't know about. Because, like I said, people cover, as we know, current cases ad nauseum on YouTube. We already know. We don't know, but you know what I'm saying. These people just need a little, somebody to look and go, wait a minute. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
The
So
Doe,
that's why I pick
the
one.
Doe Project is solving a lot of cases, a lot of old cases, though. I've been seeing
That's
30 and 40-year-old cases that are being solved recently just because of DNA technology and them being allowed to use the Ancestry database.
I think I mean, God, what a blessing. Could these policemen back then even fathom that we'd have that today? I mean, I talked to my grandmother my grandmother is 100 years old. So, she had books. When she was young, you read a book. And then eventually she had a radio. And then eventually there was movies. Okay. And then, then you get television, then telephones. And my grandmother's been on 100 years, right? So she is now, if you can believe it, on her phone, and yes, she has a phone nicer than mine. Um, she can watch TV or movie or call somebody or look up anything, talk, you know what I'm saying? And I think of everything that she's seen in her life. And I think about policemen now that have been long retired thinking, God, if we just had it back then, if we just had it back then, we could have done it. There's a lot of cases sitting on shelves because the police departments don't have money to do them. Something's got to be done about that. I don't know what, but something. I mean, I don't know, understand why can't have we have national registries for their DNA, but we don't have any money to test the things that are sitting on the shelf.
Yes.
So, yeah, I wouldn't even know. I don't even know. That'll be the platform that I go when I run for president. We're going to test every bit of DNA there is. But I mean, I just think it's odd to me that there's cases and cases and cases of like horrific crimes. Yeah, we don't have enough money. Oh, okay, not a problem. We'll just sit back and not worry about it.
Yep. And meanwhile, those guys that committed those crimes are committing crimes every day.
Yeah, more.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever did this to these girls, yeah, I mean, they're a spree, like say the difference between a serial killer and a spree killer. A spree killer is exactly that. We'll go on a spree and kill a lot of people, and then just they can stop. It's a spree. Serial killers don't stop. They don't just take. But one of I think it was McCurley. McCurley, they think took a very long break, but do we know? No, we don't know.
Did he
We just
take a
don't
break
know.
or was he incarcerated
No, he
somewhere?
wasn't. No, he was never incarcerated. Never. He was, married to the same woman for over 50 some years. Had children. They were good people. Lavender fainted. I was pregnant with my first baby on 9/11. I thought, yeah, you know what, Hurricane Holly, my love. You know what I told my children when that happened, and it's the only thing you can do. I said, you know what? They had a split second of evil. Those hijackers. They went through, and look at all the love that came after. More love than ever. More, what I'm saying. Yeah, they did. He took a 10-year break, but they don't last long. I mean, that's a pretty long break. So I don't know if this guy took a break. I mean, there's a lot of missing girls. So I don't know. Oh no. Well, I'm gonna end it anyway. But Lavender, I thank you for coming up here with me. I thank y'all for coming. I hope y'all enjoyed it, learned a little something. Maybe this Christmas, just throw out a couple, 3 little angels, or like I said, everything that I used for this will be in the description. I'll get that done tomorrow. I can't do it tonight. I'm done, man. I'm done. For those watching over on Facebook, I know I didn't do it justice, and I know I didn't mention everything, but I tried to, and I just keep these families in your prayers. Keep these families in your prayers. Keep them all in your prayers. So I'm gonna go and eat some spaghetti and get ready for The Walking Dead. Yeah, no, you can't see. Sometimes you can't see chat when you're on. It's hard to see chat. That's why I'm apologizing profusely before this. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you, if y'all have a case in your town or your state, or that's a couple years old and really hasn't gotten a lot of publicity here lately, let me know and we can do it. Oh, Rain, I love you, girl. I love you. Y'all have a great night, and I'm gonna I'll see y'all soon. I think Ernie Shell put out a video, so I'll be commentating. Oh, go watch the 11. It's really interesting. That's so I could probably link that too in the descriptions, and I'll have all that stuff linked tonight. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate it. I put a lot of work in it. And I'm burnt out. The next story we're going to cover is Dorothy Kilgallen. She was a quite famous reporter and reporter. She was I'll put her name up in a little while. This was in fact, this will be a Saturday night murder mystery, accident, suicide, or murder, because she died under some very weird, yeah, no, something went right. So that's going to be the next one. I got to look and see, because next Saturday night is our Halloween party over at Savage. Savages. So I won't be doing it this Saturday night, but I'll probably be doing it the first one in November, and I'll let y'all know. All right, I love you all. Have a good night. If you're watching this on replay and you like it, like, subscribe, share. All right, bye guys.